smell too hard. This is 40% in alcohol.
It was William Grant who built this distillery here back in 1887 with the help of his 7 sons and 2 daughters. Today, the distillery is still owned by the Grant family. It's now William Grant's great-great-grandchildren who own the company today, and it's still very much family-owned. We're very, very traditional in the way we make our whisky here, from using the Robidoux spring to source our spring water, as William Grant did back in 1887. We insist on using the water from this spring all the way through the making whisky process. We have our own cooperage here on site where we can maintain, rejuvenate and keep the quality of the casks to the high standards that we require. We have our own bottling operation here, so we're one of the few distilleries in Scotland that still bottles on site as well. So right from the whisky starting its life as that spring water in the hills round here to it going into the bottle, the whole process happens here at Glenfiddich.
It's particularly great to be at Glenfiddich because Glenfiddich is a real pioneer of the malt whisky category. The malt whisky market only really began to take off in the late 1980s and 1990s, so it's a fairly recent phenomenon. But Glenfiddich was one of the original pioneers that really started to develop interest in malt whisky, and then of course continued that to become the world's top-selling malt whisky.
So the main flavours that I get from the Glenfiddich 12-year-old would be fresh fruit, fresh apple, fresh pear with some of that creamy vanilla from the oak casks coming through.
The 14-year-old is a little bit richer on the nose than the 12-year-old. Obviously it's had longer aging in the cask. But again, those classic apples and pear notes are there. I think there's just a little bit more oak which helps to underline those notes. And the 18-year-old is a very elegant style. Again, the classic Glenfiddich fruitiness. Lots of nice apples coming through. And then lots of vanilla, which is, again, the classic combination of apples, pears, vanilla. And I think it continues with some more fruitiness, apricots, orange marmalade. So it's very rich and enjoyable, lots of fruitiness.
My favourite whisky, the whisky that I've tasted, I was very lucky not so long ago to taste the Glenfiddich 50-year-old. It's unlike anything else I've ever tasted in my life. We still used a little bit of peat, so there's a little bit of smoke, cigar, but still that classic fruity flavours coming through the whisky, even after 50 years in cask. If anybody get the chance, I would highly recommend it.
These are 4 individual expressions of Glenfiddich, but they each have the classic characteristics, the fruitiness of apples and pears, and lots of vanilla coming through. But also what accompanies those characteristics varies from each expression. So each one is definitely an individual style, but they share certain characteristics.